There's something about the Miyazaki movies that makes them touch me on a deeper level than most other pieces of art. His work is my greatest reference, and I spent a lot of time trying to figure out why. I'm not an animator, I'm a novelist. My medium is inherently different from his. Why am I so inspired? What is the piece of narrative machinery that gives me such a sense of wonder? And I think I know why. As the years went by and as I grew in my own artistic research, I started to put together the pieces of this puzzle. I'll be happy to share my slow-cooked theory with you, but before we talk about the big ideas, the bird's eye view, let's start with something small, one clear example, and we grow from there. Let's talk about Kiki's delivery service. World building is not a skill that you can improve by just watching, reading, playing. You must create, you must try your hand if you want to improve. And that's the whole point of this series here, the Worldbuilding Tower. Together, we explore fascinating elements, aspects of great world building, and from those I extract an exercise that will help me grow my own craft, and I also offer this exercise to you so you can also grow with me and with this community here, and we all become better writers, better world builders. Kiki's world building is very strange. At the very beginning of the movie, we're introduced to our magical main character, a young witch in training called Kiki, who flies on a broomstick and carries a talking black cat around. We learn that she's still pretty inexperienced. She can't even do potions, but she's about to fulfill some old tradition that says that 13-year-old witches must leave home for a 1-year training. That's it! That's the end of the magic. That's 100% of all the magic we're going to encounter until the credits roll. Everything else is just like our world. Or better, it's just like a European coastal city in the 1940s in times of peace. What a bold choice! What the hell? You introduce this highly magical world and then you say, well, it was actually not all that magical. You've seen most of it already. The majority of world buildings do the exact opposite. This mystery you've been introduced to is just a teaser. It's the promise of more enchantment. And generally, the main characters, they grow from apprentices to experienced wizards. Kiki doesn't turn into a super experienced witch. She doesn't even become a good flyer. She becomes, as the title suggests, some sort of glorified Uber Eats, a craft that does not require, but highly benefits from, flying. And yet, this is a story about growing up. That's the plot's main driving force. How did Miyazaki put this together? Let's look at it. Kiki is a lovable person, full of kindness and determination. But she's a lousy professional. She's 13. Give her a break. When she arrives in this new city, she's immediately confronted by her inexperience. But if you're paying attention, you'll notice an important detail about the discrepancies in perception of value of Kiki's limited abilities. For the entirety of the introduction, we're led to believe that Kiki's flying skills are not all that special. Everything seems to be flying around her. Seagulls fly, and there are plenty of witches who can fly way more comfortably than her. And Kiki herself is amazed by the sight of an airplane, which also proves that people can fly without a broom, and much faster too. So Kiki doesn't realize that when she arrives at her new town, people are amazed by her sloppy flying. In her eyes, the act of flying is normal, even in her particular case, but everybody else is dazzled. And it's up to her to put this together and to find a way to be useful to her new community using her skills. And this is where this movie could have been a movie about flying, about Kiki getting better and better and facing bigger hurdles and ending up in some sort of race or chase scene that proves that indeed she put in the effort and the hours and now she's a good flyer. You go, Kiki. Very nice metaphor for growing up, this flying thing. Very nice. But no. Oh no. This is where Miyazaki shines. This is where the wonder and the art come from. At the end of the movie, Kiki is still a pretty bad broom pilot. The movie is about something else, and in my opinion, something much deeper and more beautiful. The scene that turns Kiki's luck didn't really need her witching skills. What she uses to make her first friend, her first ally, is her selflessness. Those are the skills that will help Kiki grow up. Her kindness, her care, her determination. She will carry on being a sloppy flyer until the end of this story. She's late, she doesn't know how to deal with crows, she drops stuff, she bad, bro. But that doesn't matter because she will protect your pie with her dress. She will be very patient with old ladies. She will risk her life for a friend. And all that in a place that's growing cold, where people are abandoning the closeness of a small town and replacing it with the, what do I care, attitude of a big city. This is not a story like so many others about somebody becoming a better worker. This is a story about a young woman facing her fears, connecting to a community and becoming a better and beloved person. She's growing as a person, as a human, and the direction she's growing is towards care and kindness. So now let's step back and talk about Miyazaki's work and how it really grabbed me over the years. I love the way Miyazaki makes a movie, the process. I'm dazzled by his animations. I admire his narrative and character choices. Evidently, I'm a huge fan of his world building. But none of those is what makes me really love him. What enchants me are his themes, his beliefs, his particular humanity translated into art. In other words, not only the how, but also the why. It's not that he is a great artist capable of doing beautiful things, he's that as well, but he chose those ideas that I connect so deeply with to be at the very center of his artwork. What a lovely thing! Miyazaki knows that there's a lot of media out there, and especially Japanese animation media, that depicts growing up as overcoming or achieving a mastery, or as winning. But what if adulthood was this? Was about caring, was about paying attention and showing up for the people around you. There are so many fantasy heroes that within their stories are giving their best shot. But how many of those are giving their best shot at loving? At giving a damn about the world and the people who live in it? Of course I want to be a better writer, a better artist, but Miyazaki's movies are always reminding me that the real journey is to become a better person. If I want my art to be any good, if I want to touch people deep inside their hearts in a way that's going to improve their lives, then first I must become the best person I can. I must practice my care, my kindness, my love. And sure, we're here for the craft of world building, but it's always good to remind ourselves that this is a path within a much bigger path. With that said, how about we practice this complicated skill, the translation of one's most profound beliefs into narrative? Since the whole point of the series here is to exercise our creative muscles, I think it's useful to bring different challenges here so we can expand our brains in many directions. And once in every 15-ish episodes, I like to bring a really hard challenge. I've done it before, and today I'm doing it again. So, buckle up. The first thing we will do for today's Kiki-inspired exercise is to look at our lives. Not only as world builders, but as people. And find something we truly believe. An idea that you hold dear, and that you believe that the world would be a better place if only more people cared about it. I want a piece of your soul, something precious. And if you need a couple of days of existential crisis to get there, I fully support you. I think this exploration is so important for any artist. And hey, you're watching the final version of this video here, but when I was writing this script, it did take me a couple of days to land on something that I felt, okay, I can really vouch for that. So don't get fooled by the answer I'm gonna give in a couple of minutes of this video, because it took me a while. Now, with that in mind, we want a magical character. Who's that character? What's the magic here? What's the setting? If you paid attention to Kiki, you'll notice that they used a lot of well-established witch symbols and powers, and that's on purpose. The audience can use their preconceptions to get quickly up to speed with the movie. So perhaps that's also an energy you could use here. No need to reinvent the wheel here. You can use a famous trope you like, because the interesting part comes next. We want that character to touch this idea we truly believe in, that thing that lives inside of us and nurtures our humanity without using their magic. This time we don't want our magic to be a metaphor for some psychological, societal, or environmental force. We want those forces to be exactly what they are. If you want to talk about grief, don't create a dark fog that moves around. Just talk about grief. If you want to talk about the internet, don't give your wizards a spell of communication, but just give them a phone and Wi-Fi. You get the idea. How does that character interact with your belief? How does the audience experience this idea you want to convey so much? And how does that magic come around in interesting ways? As I mentioned, a really hard exercise. And with that, we go to the last part of the video, skipping my many days of existential dread. Let's just cut to the chase. Which is my take on this exercise here. One of infinite ways that this could be done. Not the right way, just one way. Hey, I also invite you to put your results in the comment section below. There's a lot of wonderful world builders that leave incredible, fabulous, wondrous worlds in the comments. Okay folks, let's do it. Here's something that my professional life taught me, and that I am just so fortunate to be able to experience often in my day by day. I believe we can create intentional, deliberate spaces for connection, for belonging, for emotional safety. We can design, implement, and maintain circles of love. So many times in our society, we're thrown into environments like schools and workplaces, where there's very few people paying attention to our togetherness, our personal bonds and boundaries. It doesn't have to be like that. We can create spaces where people can be safe, where they can thrive together. But those spaces need to be designed for that. I've seen it, I've done it, I believe in it with all my heart. Now, how to make the audience experience this in a narrative? Mr. Turco was just hired by the School of Elemental Magic. He's going to teach Introduction to Water Magic and Advanced Sound Manipulation. He's a quiet, observant man. Originally from a small village, he started to get noticed by big institutions for his academic achievements. This school is 10 times bigger than any school he ever taught in. For the first few weeks, he's very lost in the corridors. The magical part of the teaching is going well. He's well versed, but he's noticing some strange behaviors in his pupils. And he recognizes them. This school here is big enough to have a solid cure department, but he remembers his past experience in much smaller schools. Many kids are having troubles with bullying. and they just end up getting healed. So the wounds disappear, but the reactions, the emotions are still there. Some kids are disenfranchised, overquiet, afraid. Students with the talent for what he's teaching, but with no initiative. Kids that just want to be invisible. Mr. Turco carries on teaching his water and sound, but he also opens up this extracurricular, absolutely optional class that he calls Peoplemancy. This is a class that teaches no spells at all, but students very quickly realize that it can be quite powerful. Mr. Turco adapted the language, the testing system, the structure of an elemental magic class to create a class that's actually about psychology, public speaking, emotional education, and community building. But he frames it in such a way to sort of jokingly pretend that people are casting spells. One of his assignments is called Conjuring External Friendship. But in practice, it's just an invitation so that students make a friend that is outside their own classes and years. The students of Peoplemancy start to thrive. They stick together, they protect one another, they encourage one another. They organize festivals and study groups and rap battles. Soon enough, Mr. Bakra, the feisty man who heads the fire department, shyly asks Mr. Turco if he could maybe watch the class from the back, if that's alright. Soon enough, one of the bullies joins the class. Soon enough, some of the bullies are organizing free puppet shows and having a wonderful time connecting with everyone in a healthy way. In a decade, Peoplemancy will not only be a class, but an entire department in the school. Water, fire, earth, air, people. And hopefully, some reader will enjoy the story and think to themselves, wouldn't it be amazing if we had something like Peoplemancy in the real world? And then realize that this one class does not require any magic. Woo, that was cool, that was hard. Thank you so much for your attention. It's time for me to go. Thank you so much for the lovely comments you've been leaving here on the channel, praising and encouraging me, and also leaving amazing pieces of world building for me to enjoy. It's so cool to see your creations. And a special thank you to my patrons. Thank you so much for contributing in such a high level for this channel. Again, I am so small. I shouldn't have patrons. You folks are being so generous. Thank you so much. And that's it, folks. I see you next time, and hopefully also in the comments below. Yeah.